Hey everyone, it's Libby from maighstirtarot. I'd like to acknowledge the Worimi First Nations people. It's WORIMI, and welcome to you, your guides, my guides, and the universal energies for the senses. Entertainment only. Thank you very much. Okay, what I want to have a look at in this particular reading is the future going forward. Now, I know I've covered this a few times. I know a lot of us readers are actually starting to shift into the okay, what happens afterwards energy, and it's absolutely fabulous to see because we can clearly see there is this afterwards, but what takes place in the afterwards is very much about what people and the community choose. Now, I put a great little meme on my post section. I put lots of stuff in my post section. It used to be called community. So if you click on Maighstir Tarot under any video, it'll take you to the main channel page, and you see videos about playlists. Playlists are so out of date. Haven't updated them for about 6 months now. And on the end, there's posts. I put a little post in there this morning, a meme that I came across my desk this morning, and I had seen it before, but I sort of thought, oh, that's a good idea, but bypassed it. This time I thought, no, I will spread the word. And what it was is basically it's a meme. If you are on unlimited internet, this is all about what you can do for your community. If you are on unlimited internet and your neighbour is too impoverished to be able to afford internet, about allowing them to piggyback onto yours. And the meme was basically they called it free council Wi-Fi. They let their neighbour know because their neighbour had pride. Oh, the council's got this free Wi-Fi now. Here's the password, and gave them the password. And whether it's true or not doesn't matter. It's the story that's important. And apparently, the last thing they'd heard, there was this neighbour who I believe was a single mother or something along those lines, was 2/3 of the way through getting their university degree. So I'm just putting it out there. These things that we can do on a community basis, that doesn't need to be here's a sandwich, take a photograph for my social media. Absolutely not. There's little things that we can do on a daily basis that we don't need to spread terribly far to make a significant difference. So I'm going to use the Light Seers Tarot, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful deck. Few little interesting snippets. I did the reading on the Netherlands government. Yeah, the guys saw that one coming. At the time, I couldn't work out what they were meaning, but yeah, they saw that coming 12 months ago. So again, this explains that things take a while to play out after we see what's happening. They don't work on our human make it happen tomorrow time frame. But this is about um, looking around, and what this reading is about what we can do to cement what the type of future we want going forward. So I believe Norway has stepped up and is providing gas to Ukraine to make up for the gas shortfalls that it used to get from Russia, etc. Spain is cancelling their US missile contract. I bet that's pleased a few of the defence industry oligarchs. Not at all. I get a Starlink with the massive solar flares that are happening at the moment. The Starlink satellites are falling out of the sky, left hand over fist. But what I want to have a look at is I want to have a look at this, encourage people to have a look at how other countries tackle specific parts of their society, of their economy, of their agenda, and cherry pick the best of them. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can cherry pick the best of what other countries are doing, and certain examples of what other countries are doing. I'm going to use my home country for starters, the Australian electoral system. What's not to love about it? First of all, we have compulsory voting. So everybody has to, once you reach 18, has to register to vote. I think the actual registration rate's about 98%. So 2% of people are under the radar. but chosen not to. But we have compulsory voting. So you can't complain about who gets into government because it is a legitimate majority vote. Problem with the what happened in the elections with the US, and I'm not having a go at the US, and I'm not having a go at the US people. I'm talking about the system, and this is why it's all being torn down so that you can choose to rebuild. With the US system, the biggest voting bloc in the US were those who did not vote. And it's the same with other countries that don't have compulsory voting. Australia, Canada, you name it. All these countries that don't have compulsory voting, their biggest voting bloc are those that don't bother to vote. So compulsory voting. With our electoral system, we have an independent panel, an independent federal board that draws up all of the boundaries, the electorate boundaries. And it is based purely on numbers of people. There's a few little other side statistics that go into that as well, but it's the majority of it is based on purely the number of people. It doesn't matter who they voted for in the past. It doesn't matter the colour of their skin. It doesn't matter the country of their or their parents' origin, because I think about a third, if not more, of Australians are either first or second generation coming in from overseas. It might even be more than a third. It might even be up to 60%. I can't remember. I just remember it was a huge number of those in our population who are either immigrants or their parents were immigrants. Okay, but that's getting off the point. So it doesn't matter where their origin is. It doesn't matter the colour of their skin. It doesn't matter. None of that is taken into consideration when these boundaries are drawn up. They are drawn up purely on practicality-ish, some of it, that's only a very minor part, but the majority of it is the number of people who vote in an area, which means in inner Sydney or inner Melbourne or something, you get the electorate about this size, and in Western Australia, it's this size, and the representative needs their own aeroplane and pilot's license to get around it. So the electoral system in Australia, when we vote, we go to a voting booth, and most of the time, well, first of all, easy as, I can't remember the last time I actually went down and voted on the day. You literally just walk into one of the early voting stations, they tick you off, they say, are you eligible? And you say yes, and they say, go for it. Don't ask why. They just have a look at your ID, which is usually your driver's license. And if you haven't got a driver's license, a student license or some sort of ID card, and off you go. And it's pencil or pen and paper, and you tick your boxes, and then you put them in a sealed container. And there are 3 observers practically for every container. And when the votes are counted, they are counted. They are counted again. The 2 piles must match as to this, this many for this person, this many for this person. Somebody else will count them. I got this many for this person, this many for that person. And they must match. Otherwise, they get counted again. And they get counted again until such time as a decision is made. You'll notice in Australia, we don't have legal action about voters. We don't. There's no legal action about voters because the system fair and works. Might not like who gets in, but it's fair and it works, and it's basically unchallengeable because it's so transparent and it is so just and so fair. So, election system Australia, Scandinavian countries with their education. I believe I was reading the other day, there is a particular country, is it Sweden or Finland? I can't remember which one it was, one of those Scandinavian countries, where it is illegal to, I don't know whether it's illegal or not, but private schools. There are no private schools. So therefore, doesn't matter about your income, you get the same quality of education, and they tax their wealthy to be able to fund that free from kindergarten through to end of university education. They homelessness? I was reading in one of the Scandinavian countries with their homelessness. Their solution to homelessness is to build homes and have the mental health and social services infrastructure there in the complex with the homes, tiny houses, I suspect they were. But I mean, gee, you know, a bedroom and a private bathroom, you can't beat the dignity of it, and have the social services there. With the Sovereign Fund, I think, is it again in those Scandinavian countries, the Sovereign Fund they've got, their dementia, their aged care homes, they have streets and bus stops and shops, and the shops the people can go into and they can get their groceries and pay for them at the checkout. But there's no money, there's no paying, and what happens is they take them away, and then the carers will then take it back and restock the shop. And they can go and sit at the bus stop and wait for the bus to come, and they can just need to look at what countries are doing overseas. Universal health care. Not perfect, but pretty good. Could be better if we decided, even in Australia, to tax our wealthy. There's a lot renewable energy. It's just looking. Okay, I'll just flip the deck. Looking overseas, looking at what other countries are doing. Now, I know I'm preaching to the converted, and I know I am on the soapbox here, but I'm just saying all this is within grasp if we choose the courage to step beyond what feels comfortable, our own safety, our own what's in it for me, and out into the world of what can be. And then on the other side, I've got the Justice card, drawing the sword of truth, finding balance, actions having consequences, and liking what you see in the mirror. So this is looking beyond our own borders, and Australia should be doing the same as well. Looking beyond our own borders, looking at setting up the foundation for long term of what we want, whether it's a universal income of Bindi having a role there, whether it's a universal base income where everybody is allocated an income to spend that is not poverty level. It's enough to live on. It's a living income. And if people choose to waste it, they can waste it. But if they choose to work in something that inspires them, because as AI increases and robotics increases, a lot of those mundane jobs are not going to exist anymore. I mean, even when you order something from, say, let's say Amazon, but you know what I mean. If you order something online, the order will go to the warehouse. The money comes out of your bank account. The order goes to the warehouse. The little machine goes through the warehouse and goes, and it's there, goes onto the shelf, takes it off, goes back down again, puts it on the conveyor belt with its, I don't quite know how, whether it stamps a signifier on it or something like that. And once you've got the automated delivery systems, whether it be by drone or by automated vehicle or whatever, it'll get to your door. So all these jobs are not going to exist in the future. AI can be harnessed for good. So these jobs are not going to be in the future, which frees people up to explore and create and to do what finds them passion. And that is also something that's going to be difficult going into the future. They can allow their soul spirit to sing. But we have to encourage people to embrace their soul spirit and allow it to sing. Really interesting having a discussion with, again, one of my viewers, having a discussion via email with them about the fact that men are struggling at the moment because they don't know what their purpose in life is. I'm not talking about all men, but I'm talking about some men. Because for the last 80 years, we have taught our daughters to be independent, to look after yourself, to be a full and complete person, to be that you can do anything plus give birth, but that they are fully human. I know that's an awful way to say it, but we haven't taught our young men the same, to see women as. And what's happening is that there is this turning into this macho chest beating, attempted to dominate, which then turns into more women being turned off by the macho chest beating domination, because we don't need a man in our lives anymore to provide. We have the men in our lives as modern women because we want them to be there, because we enjoy them being there, but we don't have to have them. So what's happening is, because we don't have to have them, we're choosing not to. So we're choosing the Tim Walses, not the Andrew Tates. And what happens is that results in even more, because of the insecurity potentially of more macho chest beating, attempting dominance, because we haven't taught our young men to come along on this journey with us. I'm all over the place today, I do apologize. But this is very much in this new energy, and it is very dark today. It's all of about 10 degrees, a bracing Scottish summer by the sounds of it. But this is very much this new energy where we can embrace our inner creativity, where our soul can soar and sing. And this is very much, I'm just pulling these cards off the bottom, is very much about deciding at a fundamental level, what is it that is really important, and letting go of all the rest that we're hanging on to, that does not serve us, so that we can rebuild in this new energy, so that we can rebuild in something that is beautifully transformative. And the next card, another major arcana. This is deciding about what future we want. And do not allow yourself to be limited by the earthly. We need to remain grounded, don't get me wrong, but don't be limited. Aim for the stars. Hold on to that healing, that hope, that dream of what is possible, because it is possible. And it's very much about looking overseas at the big picture and deciding what it is that we want to bring to our shores, that are worth surfing on, that are worth being passionate about. Now, in between was this card. Now, kings are about externally doing. Yes, there's Bindi in the bottom there. Kings for me are about external actions. Queens are about internal actions. So when I'm talking about the King of Cups, doesn't mean it's necessarily male, but it includes men. But this is very much about emotional and intellectual and diplomatic maturity, about calm, external peace. Cups are also about emotions. This isn't about aggressive division or anything. This is about external calm and bringing this ship into harbour, going with the flow on the calm seas, the diplomat, the negotiator, the externally mature emotional energy. And when I'm talking about mature emotional, I'm talking about the Bernie Sanders and the I'm hoping I'm getting the Coach Walls and the Barack Obama, and these sorts of men, but also these sorts of women as well, who externally exude power of this calm, this partnership. What is it that makes you passionate? What is the message, the new, youthful message of exuberance and joy that makes you passionate? Because it's here to draw on. We are at the age of the divine feminine. For so long, we have been pouring ourselves down this false rhetoric of this promise, of this everything's going to be wonderful if we just pour everything emotionally and spiritually down into this false black hole, a bottomless pit well, everything will be okay. It's a false promise. We need to look at what is being done elsewhere, what we are not looking at. And I think this well is the false rhetoric is about how wonderful each country is. I was going to say the US, but we're all guilty of this, how wonderful our own country is. The myth of Australia's got a lot of flaws too. So's the UK, so's every country. It's about looking at what is best that we are not looking at, that we can draw on. And then we've got, again, the Justice card. Love it. Actually, I'm just looking at these major arcana. The Justice card. We then have the Moon card. This is about a desperate need to bring the emotions to the surface. Now, we're talking about these men as well, and even more so about the men, because they were taught men don't cry. We bottle up our emotions. We're stiff upper lip, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. You're human. The emotions need to be brought to the surface that we are holding stifled down within us, because what they're doing is they're drowning us from within. We need to bring them to the surface and shine a light on them, whether this happens in a group situation or whether it happens by yourself on the beach or in the shower or wherever, at kickboxing or whatever it is. The emotions need to be brought to the surface so that we can shine the light on them and expose them for what they are, and only then can we let them go. And the anger and divisiveness that is happening around the world at the moment is usually, just about always, if it's not based in narcissism, not quite sure what the cure for that is, it's based in fear. The fear of losing what you have, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of others, the fear of this vilification of others. Oh, they're all rapists and murderers. No, they're not. They're people wanting to live a life with a purpose. And you find if people have a purpose, then they don't fall into these. In Australia, we've got in certain major towns and cities where there's no purpose for the youth. There's nothing for the youth to be able to feel satisfaction from achieving, and they get derided for their playing out and their bad behaviour and crime, etc. They get derided. So if they get derided, well, why should I bother? But this is anguish, this is heartbreak, this is loss in what is a barren environment. And if we have purpose, we don't have this barrenness, we have this ability to create, to draw on all that is the best, to create our own future going forward. Purpose is huge. But we need to dispel the emotions, or let out the emotions that are literally suffocating us and causing this dissension, causing this heartbreak and loss and despair, so that we can create this future going forward. This is why you and I are here now. This is our purpose. This is the purpose that the universe has for us to go forward, to work with others to create something amazing. And it starts at this individual level. Boy, oh boy, that was a bit preachy of me, wasn't it? Where did I go with that, guys? I can't remember. I just remember there were a heck of a lot of major arcana that came out there. So this is very much about bringing these emotions to the surface, identifying them for what they truly are, acknowledging them and letting go of them. And whether that means you sit in the bottom of the shower and you bawl your eyes out, you punch the living bejesus out of a bag down at the boxing gym, and then break down crying, whatever it is, we need to go through this process, all of us at times in our lives, so that we can unfurl from this protective, self-inflicted, isolated space. I was going to say safe space. It feels safe, but there's no future in it. So that we can unfurl from this position to pick up the key. It's all within us for us to do. Pick up the key to unlock the door to this untapped potential beyond. Now, how one explains that to somebody else, I have no idea. But it starts with tapping into, and it's raw, and it's painful, and it's difficult, and it's ugly, and it's unpleasant, and it's uncomfortable, and it's all of the try to avoid. But it starts with tapping in to whatever it is emotionally inside that you are keeping trapped. And then it's about looking around the world at how other countries do something that is close to whatever that emotion was. How do they deal with it? What is the best way that we can bring to our shores? And unfurling yourself to unlock the door, to turn away from that false promise, that false light in that pit, to what could be. To unfurl, to lock the door to the potential so that we can allow our soul spirits to soar, to dance and sing. And our actions have consequences, and it starts with you. The entire ocean that covers 3/4 of the earth is made up of drops of water, and every single one of you is a drop. And together we become a force. Oh, that was all a bit preachy, guys. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Food for thought. Love to you all. Take care.